Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Resident Evil 8 on Android, and apparently someone got the game up and running. I'll drop a link to this YouTube video in the description below and feel free to check it out. I don't want to say the game is running smoothly, and I don't want to say it's an optimal way to play the game. Now, to get RE8 up and running on Android, the video creator used something called termixbox, which is a script to install a pre-configured root FS with box86, 64, wine, and DXVK. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. It's on GitHub. Next up here, we're talking about TouchHLE, which is a high-level emulator for iPhone OS apps, and TouchHLE just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 0.2.1 all treat, no trick is the latest update. There's a brand new crowdsourced TouchHLE app compatibility database, which I do recommend checking out. There's also a recently launched TouchHLE app archive. In terms of compatibility, there have been various small contributions for API support improvements. There are new working apps, including Doom, Doom 2 RPG, I Love Katamari, and Wolfenstein RPG. And multi-touch is now supported. And on top of that, there were a number of improvements to general usability. For example, the button to touch option now supports D-pad mappings, in addition to ABXY buttons. The frame rate is now limited to 60 FPS by default to prevent games from running too fast. The app picker has multiple pages, so it is no longer limited to 16 apps. The language detection is automatic now, and there's a whole bunch more. It's worth pointing out that TouchHLE currently supports iPhone and iPod Touch apps for iPhone OS 2. Next up will be iPhone OS 3 support, and longer term we've got iPhone OS 3.1 and possibly iOS 4, never 64-bit iOS versions though. TouchHLE is 100% free, it's open source, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And as a bonus here, I'll drop a link to their YouTube video for Doom 2 RPG up and running in TouchHLE. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Yuzu, and Yuzu got a great new feature. As of mainline version 16.06, you can change the volume by scrolling the mouse wheel instead of clicking and dragging on the UI. And as of the previous version, 16.05, it fixes Stardew Valley and Streets of Rage 4 that was rendering inverted. The other Switch emulator for PC, Ryujinx, also got a brand new update today on Halloween. And fittingly here, it fixes shadow issues in Luigi's Mansion 3 as of version 1.1.1068, which is the latest version at the time of filming. Moving on, and we're talking about an unreleased PS2 game, Daredevil the Man Without Fear. And there's a brand new prototype, a late prototype that has just been released thanks to Hidden Palace. I'll drop a link to this webpage in the description below in the event that you wanted to learn more about the game. And in addition to that, the Hidden Palace released some gameplay footage as well if you wanted to check that out. The game is dated March 22nd, 2004, at least for this prototype. And since this is a prototype, even though it's a late prototype, there are still some bugs and glitches. For example, game-breaking glitches such as getting stuck behind walls. And the game might crash after the first chapter. But this page may be worth checking out if you're interested. And speaking about interesting stuff, next up we're talking about Bloodborne Kart. Yes, you heard me correctly, and I think we've talked about this one before. Anyways, here there's a release date trailer that just popped up on YouTube. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. The release date here is January 31st, 2024. And this game is going to be free. And if you wanted to learn even more about this game, I'll drop a link to their website in the description below. There's going to be full single-player campaign mode, split-screen multiplayer, and versus battle mode. There's also a number of different characters and tracks. Next up, we're talking about a neat little Linux distribution you may be interested in if you like old fighting games, or even just old arcade games in general, and you wanted to play them online against other people, or even offline against other people. It's called KumiteOS. It's a live USB Linux distribution that gets you from boot to online or offline retro tournaments as fast as possible. It's optimized for compatibility and persistence so you can keep your settings and ROMs. KumiteOS just got a brand new release. It's based on Arch, and it does come preloaded with Fightcade and the latest Flycast Dojo to make your life a lot easier. And there is an ISO. I'll drop a link to this site in the description below. It's free and open source. Moving on, and we're talking about something that may be a little bit niche here, but still very interesting. It's an Intellivision console emulator running on the DS and DSi. It's called NINTV DS. And it's got a brand new update here, but if you are using it and you are updating it, it's going to wipe your stuff. So version 4.4 is the latest update. They've simplified the use of custom overlays. There's a major cleanup of overlay support. Gone are the built-in overlays except for the normal Intellivision controller graphic and the mini ECS keyboard. And there's been a major overhaul of configuration to provide for better future enhancements. Your old configurations will be wiped in favor of the new defaults. NINTV DS is 100% free, it's open source, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Moving on, and we're talking about PS Vita emulation with Vita3k, but not on Android, on PC here. And Vita3k just got a brand new update that you may want to check out here if you like Vulkan. So the improvement here is from the legendary MacDo. It improves the support of MSAA without a color surface. And he says FFX Remaster uses it. This fixes the crash when launching it with a Vulkan renderer. And speaking about renderers, or renders, or actually nothing, because this is not a render. This is the real deal. This is the Miyoo Flip, what it's going to look like here, or the Miyoo 355. And arguably, I absolutely hate those joysticks. I don't think they're going to be practical, but I could be wrong here until I try one out myself. What are your thoughts about this one? Do the joysticks need to be on there? Do you like this design? And as far as we know here, the Miyoo Flip is headed to us in December. I am hoping the D-pad and buttons and joysticks are going to be good. Next up, we're talking about Night Slashers, which is a beat 'em up similar to Final Fight or Streets of Rage, just a little bit more gory. And there's a remake that appears to be in the works here. I'll drop a link to the trailer in the description below and feel free to check it out. Now, in all fairness here, while I'm excited about a remake, I'm not really overly keen on these graphics and how this game looks. This game was initially made by Data East, and I thought it was released in 1993, but they're saying 1994 here, so I may be wrong. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you like this art style? Do you like this game? Are you excited about the remake? Next up, we're talking about Twitch and the Nintendo Switch. And if you use Twitch on the Switch, you're not going to have a good time coming up pretty soon. Here is the notice right from Twitch's website. We will be ending support for the Twitch app on Nintendo Switch starting November 8th, 2023, which is just around the corner. New users will no longer be able to download the Twitch app in the Nintendo eShop. Existing users will lose access to the Twitch app on Nintendo Switch starting January 31st, 2024. Moving on, and we're talking about the PS5 Slim, and it looks like someone got their hands on a new PS5 Slim and posted photos on the internet. I'm not showcasing any of those photos because the tweets got taken down, and I'm assuming if I showcase them in this video, the video might get taken down as well. Anyways, here it kind of reminded me of the GS5. I'll drop a link on the GitHub page in the description below where I saw some of these images. Maybe they'll still be there, maybe they won't. Next up, we're quickly talking about Atari, and it looks like they're going to be purchasing Digital Eclipse for about $20 million. If you don't know who Digital Eclipse is, they're the studio behind TMNT Cowabunga Collection, the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, the Mega Man Legacy Collection, and even more. This might be a great acquisition. It might be a horrible one. I'm hoping here they let Digital Eclipse do their thing and just provide them more funding. Next up here, we're very quickly talking about NVidia drivers on Linux. And NVIDIA has just released version 545.29.02. I'll drop a link to this page in the description below. I've been saying that a lot this video. Anyways, here they've added support for virtual reality displays, such as the Steam VR platform, on Wayland compositors that support DRM leasing. Very interesting. More and more Wayland stuff. Anyways, here it's, well, there's a whole bunch more, and it's NVIDIA, so these may be hit and miss, and things may be broken. And continuing to speak about Linux, next up here, we're quickly talking about Apex Legends and Linux. And if you play this game, you're not going to like the latest update. They broke it again for Linux. And this has to do with the anti-cheat, and until they fix it, Linux users are out of luck. Fortunately, it appears there is a fix in progress, so who knows how long this is going to take, but hopefully sooner rather than later. And last up here, we're talking about Half-Life Alyx, and if you wanted to play the game but didn't want to use VR on it, there is a very interesting no VR mod, and this no VR mod just got a brand new update. So they say here, our team is proud to launch the first of many animation updates for Half-Life Alyx No VR. This update adds Alyx's arms, hands, and proper gun view models to the first-person perspective, along with many game-wide updates, bug fixes, and improvements. And it's worth noting here that if you wanted to use this mod, you do need a copy of Half-Life Alyx. And I'm saying this one again, if you are interested and wanted to see a video on it, I'll drop a link in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And as a bonus piece of news here, it appears there's a 1.5 terabyte microsd card from SanDisk for a whopping 150 bucks. I'm surprised they're already at 1.5 terabytes, but maybe I'll hold out until 2 terabytes shows up. I mean, Kioxia, I think that's how you pronounce it, has already created a functional prototype, so we'll see how long that takes to make it to mainstream. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.